Hello, I'm Crystal Castellanos, and today I'm going to be speaking with you about my team and our team learning experiences from this past semester. My other teammates are Joshua Albee and William Barnwell. First of all, I'd like to start today by giving a kind of shout out to my other teammates. We did have a saying this semester, and it was dream work makes the team work. And we say that because we had a few night owls on our team and an early bird, and then we had differing work schedules, so we really had to come together, collaborate, and share information effectively. And what we did was, I really feel that we utilized the online platform to the best of its ability. So it was fun, and I can't believe it's already over. But today, what we're going to be talking to you about is the material we've put together for this semester, about how to develop a professional workshop. We've put together what we feel would influence you most and what would be most useful for you to take away from this class. So today, what we'll be speaking about first is who are our learners. Second, we'll be speaking about how to design for motivation in your workshop, and then we'll also be talking about the top 10 do's for building a professional development workshop. So, first of all, before we get into any of the actual material we'll be looking at today, I want you all to understand what's in it for you. I hope that today, after reviewing the material we've put together, you'll better understand how adapting to and motivating your learners will further your development skills and your growth just as much as theirs. I also would like you to retain a key understanding of the top 10 elements to implement a successful workshop, and I would also like you to understand how that will follow you throughout your career, not just this class. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Mike, who will get into understanding your learners.
Thanks, Crystal. I'm going to be talking about Chapter 2 in the book titled Designing for How People Learn by Julie Dirkston. The chapter of this title is Who Are Your Learners? Basically, what this chapter is getting across is that you need to understand who it is that you're speaking to, who it is that you're going to be teaching. Effective teaching requires a thorough understanding of your audience. You want to know what kind of expertise that they have. Do they have some skills that could be relevant to the workshop? You want to know what motivates them. What are their motivational drivers? What's going to get them out of their seat? What's going to get them talking? What's going to get them moving? What's going to get them engaged? It's important things to take into consideration. You want to know their work experience. This could include professional development, seminars that they may have been to in the past. These type of things should be taken into consideration because you can leverage the knowledge of your participants to your advantage and use them to help create a more effective workshop. And you should leverage your participants to help create a more effective workshop because they'll get a lot more out of it if they feel that they were involved in the development of it and they can see how their past skills are relevant. It's something important for adult learners. They need to know why they're doing this. So by using these bullet points and following these, you should be able to make it clear to them why they're doing this workshop. Also, who the learners are requires the instructor to adapt and customize the material to be taught, and that's going back to the bullet points that I just went over. You want to know who you're talking to and who you're teaching to and plan and develop your workshop accordingly. More than likely, you're going to be dealing with adult learners when you're putting together a workshop like this, and you need to understand that adult learners require a different type of level of engagement due to adult learners having different learning styles. You want to have broad spectrum activities in the workshop because that would provide more development opportunity. Say you only have one or two activities, well, there's a good chance that some of your participants will get nothing out of it because maybe those specific activities were not ones they particularly enjoyed. If you have a wide variety of activities, chances are that the participants will find at least one, hopefully more than one, but at least one that they found particularly useful to them. No micromanaging. These are adults. You want to let them have the freedom to do what they want to do for the most part. I mean, you give them the guidance, but then you get out of the way and let them go at it. Part of this is facilitating unfiltered feedback. In a workshop like this, we want to make sure that people can be honest and people can be upfront about what their true feelings are. In the business environment, while you're at work, you might not be able to say how you truly feel. Well, during these workshops, we hope you have the opportunity to go ahead and do that and to clear the air. Uh, it's important to have that. It kind of freshens things up a little bit. And lastly, you want to encourage them to have fun. Uh, it shouldn't feel like just a boring, mundane task that they're doing. You want it to be interactive. You want them to be doing as much as they can with it. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to the next presenter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Well, today I'm going to be speaking to you more specifically on how to design for motivation and the importance of designing for motivation. Throughout this chapter in our textbook, I learned about the motivation to learn and motivation to do, how they're different and why they're important. Motivation to learn, to me, is more about engaging your employees, about teaching or your participants, teaching them why they should take this material and put it to use. Motivation to do, in my opinion, is really showing them how and why they should actually follow through with these actions even outside of the workshop. So the benefit there. So for me, when I was comparing these two, motivation to learn, motivation to do, and applying this in an adult workshop or an adult learning environment, I really saw how opportunity cost plays against tangible benefit and how we need to frame workshops to be able to accurately represent usefulness, and which would be the benefit to the learner, so that they understand, yes, I'm giving up this time as an opportunity cost, but it's going to be to further my development. In an adult learning circumstance, I really think it's important to emphasize that their time would be put to good use, because time management and productivity is very important in the workplace, and nowadays we're always on the run and we're even more aware of where we spend our time, and we have to be very selective about where we do that. So workshops should be designed to encourage the desired behavior and that change in behavior and reinforce it. This was something I learned throughout this chapter. I learned that not only do we need to motivate employees to be engaged, but we actually need to motivate them to change their behavior. And the way we go about that may be different than what we really think before training on how to train someone else. So adult learners need to be convinced that the time and the energy spent will be useful and increase their productivity and their skill set. Otherwise, they won't be interested and they won't put the information to good use. They may not even be engaged till the end of the workshop. If you can establish the usefulness and the ease of use to the user, then you're going to experience increased openness, decreased opposition to change, which can be very real in the working environment, especially in a team environment. You're going to have increased engagement and increased motivation to retain, develop, and display the skills that they were learning. So, personal example, right now I work at Southwire, and we are on a big project right now, and it's implementing the sales go live efforts. Our sales system is being converted over to a new IT platform, and that has entailed within itself multiple different projects. But we at Southwire, we're actually pretty old in a group of employees. Many of the employees there have been there over 40 years in the sales group, and it's a great place to work. Go Southwire. But we, coming with age and having older employees also means more opposition to change. Many of the systems had been built in-house, and a lot of the employees were resistant to change. They didn't understand the need for it. A lot of the benefits of moving to the system were from the financial aspect, which the salespeople had not been involved with, so they didn't understand the overall business value, and they didn't understand, if there wasn't too much of a value in their perception, why the need for such a change, because this change was going to be it was going to definitely impact their daily routine significantly. So change was heavily opposed, and the change was perceived as a huge delay. And in a sales environment, delay means you're wasting time, you're wasting money, and it was a very big deal to them. So instructional workshops were held, and what these did, I was a part of them, is it helped demonstrate the ease and usefulness to the salespeople on the bottom line. Although they were not heavily involved in finance, what they did see was they were able to quote customers with real-time costing. Like the wire comes out the systems, it gets put on the reel, they can cost it, they can give accurate quotes, which actually allowed us to drive a bit more larger discounts and benefited our customers even. So that really got the sales team excited. They saw that it was easier to use. We did start out with the more simplistic examples to give them to hook them, and then once they were hooked, they were more engaged. They really gave it a valid effort to try and to really see the benefits of the system. And that's why I think it's very important to design your workshop in that way, not only to increase engagement, but to increase openness to process change and increase motivation to learn and also to practice. The next example I'm going to speak to you about is an example that I was involved in when we set up a financial reporting workshop for a particular group of employees. We knew we had system changes coming at work, and we knew that there was a particular group of employees, it was an older group, who were very experienced, who had been at Southwire for over 40 years, who were very, very vocal about their opposition to the changes. They did not see the need. They were totally ready to be unengaged. And they went through a very, very long period of having no business changes. They were very worried about their ability to be able to handle the new system and to be able to do their jobs well enough. This is a sales environment, so it's a sales environment with a financial aspect. As these were the group of people with finance support who supported our sales system. So there's the tie there, but time was still, and competency was a very huge factor for them. It was an insecurity that they had. They just looked at this change completely unconvinced. So what we did was we framed our workshop in a way that highlighted process consistencies and compared, okay, well, today this is what we're doing, and tomorrow this is what we'll be doing. It's the same, it just looks a little different, and we took it in baby steps, really showed them, conceptually the process is staying the same. We're just doing it a little bit different, and we built upon their skills. So understanding that these employees were not as experienced or maybe didn't have a college level education or that much team orientation, we try to introduce them, to engage them, and to encourage them throughout the workshop. And that actually yielded us some very, very good results. Highlighting the ease of use and demonstrating their ability really increased their motivation and their acceptance of these new processes, and it really drove them to take initiative too, which was very exciting to see. There's increased eagerness to adopt process changes. Just in general, they were looking for other ways to improve the tasks that they do now, which was great. That will just add to further increases in productivity and further development in themselves professionally, and it's very exciting to see. So the implications and contributions of understanding how designing a workshop to motivate, engage, and change behavior in your participants is very important. What we can take away from this is an understanding that knowing how to motivate and design a workshop to motivate your employees will actually enable your managers to develop their teams much more efficiently. And that in itself adds a huge business value to not only your managers, to your employees, overall productivity, bottom line, it's endless. Human resources is also a huge key here. You're developing your employees, you're empowering them, you're enhancing their abilities, so you're keeping them engaged, and you're really helping them feel enabled in their workplace. And again, empowered employees are employees who take initiative, and you have an engaged workforce. And that says a lot about the strength of motivating your employees and how a workshop, maybe just about a specific issue, can really help your overall team cohesiveness and operational efficiency. So now I'm going to pass it off to Josh.
I'm going to talk about the top 10 topics that I found from the Interactive and Engaging Training, a Practical Guide handbook that we received in this class. Here are my top 10 in descending order. Number 10 is slides as a workbook. I think that if the participants receive the slides that you are showing them, they will be able to take notes on them and jot down ideas that they have from the class. And number 9, high-level learning steps. I think that's important because it allows you to introduce the material. It then allows them to have a group activity and then an individual activity where they all get to use what they've learned in the class to work on activities that you might give them during the workshop. Number 8 is to do a run through, which would be with some of your coworkers. You can test out your topic and your workshop to see if it's going to work well and to see if you need to make any small changes. Number 7 is to give rationale, give a meaning why this topic that they're learning about is going to be important in their real jobs. And then for number 6, I like improvisation. This is good because it allows for volunteers from the workshop to think on their feet and have to act quickly for ideas that they might have to come with in their real job. Here are my top 5. Number 5, limiting lectures. As the book stated, the lectures need to be under 8 minutes, since adults have an attention span of right at 8 minutes. During this time, you need to get through your content quickly and make sure that you cover everything you need to cover, so then you can send them off to an activity shortly thereafter. Number 4, role-playing exercises. I believe that this is important because in the real world, you come across situations that you might not always be familiar with, and this is a good time to practice to learn what you've done right and what you've done wrong. And also, you can get feedback from the presenters as well as the coworkers. And number 3, leveraging technology. Everyone uses social media nowadays in the business world, so you need to learn how to use Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram in a way that will help your business and yourself. And number 2, successful training. You need to know what you're teaching them, how they're going to be taught, the methods such as the activities that you'll be doing, and the results. And the results are going to be how they can use this in their daily jobs. And my number 1 thing I got out of the book was knowing your audience. I believe that this is important because if you don't know who you're going to be presenting to, you might present the wrong information. So you need to know a good background on the company that you're going to be presenting to and the types of individuals that you will be meeting. And now I'm going to pass it off to Mike for the conclusion.
Thanks, Josh. I'm going to be talking about my takeaways from this class. My number 1 takeaway, coincidentally, was also Josh's number 1 takeaway from the top 10 list. Number 1, you need to know your learners. It's very important to know who you're speaking to. If you don't, a lot could be missed in translation there. Number 2, learning experiences should be a two-way interaction. It shouldn't just be a lecture. You want to make people feel involved. You want to make them feel like they have a little bit of control in what's going on. You also want to speak to both the logical, analytical, and the emotional side of the brain. And this is due to the fact that people learn differently. You want to make sure that you're covering all your bases. Some people are going to react better to the logical side of their brain, and some people will react better when you come at them from the emotional side. The 4th takeaway, the main 2 elements of teaching are practice and feedback. These need to be always incorporated when you're considering a workshop or any environment where you're trying to teach somebody. And you need to understand that adults have many different learning styles. As we spoke about earlier in the class, you have a lot of different learners, such as the hey, check this out learner, or the I need to solve a problem learner, or any of those. Those should sound familiar from that first chapter of the book there. So with that, I'll toss it on to Josh for his takeaways.
The 5 takeaways that I got from this class are that each individual has a different learning style. Some individuals like to learn by seeing, others like to learn by hearing, other people like to learn by actual activities. The second thing is the importance of icebreakers. Since not all the coworkers might know each other, this is going to be a good time for everybody to get to know one another and see what they might have in common and strike up new friendships. And making a workshop memorable, you want your workshop to be talked about after your presentation is already over, because this could possibly lead to more business for you in the future with different workshops that you might have. Choosing the correct activities. I had to change a few of my activities in my topic, and this made me think on my feet quickly and find out new ways to teach the subject that I was teaching. And the last one is I learned how to use Office Mix very well. this is going to be good for me in the future. I'll be able to send out video instructions to coworkers if they have questions on how to use certain programs.
Thank you for the insight, Josh. Well, now it's my turn. I'd like to review my key takeaways from my experiences this summer. My first and probably the strongest of these takeaways for me is understanding how to frame the workshop to showcase usefulness to the participants. I really feel that it's hard for employees to be engaged at all if they don't understand the usefulness of what they're learning and believing that they can actually do and do the exercises on their own and actually see that benefit. So showcasing the ease of use again is very important. It was a huge takeaway for me. Understanding that workshops for adult learners should be concise was also an important factor. I didn't realize even myself how time sensitive I am. So I think this is huge. You need to get to the point in your workshops, and I think it's very important for adult learners. Also, I think that this workshop has enhanced my strategic planning abilities in respect to encouraging process changes. Understanding how you need to adapt material to be presented to your employees, I think, is a huge part of strategic planning, especially because perception is reality. And if your employees perceive these materials you're going to show them to be unuseful, it really does you no good. So the framing and the planning, just the work before it's presented to the employee and the way it should empower the employee was a huge takeaway for me. So this class, I think, also has developed my leadership skills. I feel like I can now, because I'm about to train 3 replacements, that I can better develop these employees and I can better coach them. So now to Mike for the conclusion.
So to conclude, on behalf of Team 3, I would like to thank everyone. We hope that you've enjoyed our presentation as much as we enjoyed putting it together. We hope that after listening to our video and by considering the information that has been presented to you throughout the course, that you will now have a better idea of ways to help you further develop yourself along your pathway to success. These topics and ideas can be useful in a wide variety of settings, and it is our sincere hope that you can find a way to apply these to your own professional development in the future. We thank you for your time and your feedback throughout this course, and would like to say thank you to the other groups as well for the valuable insights that they have provided along the way. Please do not hesitate to contact us with any questions. Our contact information is listed below. Once again, thank you.